What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Tuesday. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Also available online. Stream it up at sportstalk1051.com. Get your Google and Alexa home devices. The Sports Talk app and video stream now up and rolling on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Happy Tuesday, everybody. February 20th. Appreciate you making us a part of your start. If you're already up and at it with us this morning, what do we got on the good old game plan? He's back. He's back. Brandon Woodruff reportedly signing a 2-year deal to return to the Milwaukee Brewers. Nothing official yet from the ball club themselves, but at multiple reports out there now saying that the Brewers will be bringing back Brandon Woodruff. Now, we don't know a lot of details on this yet. We don't know money. We don't know how his recovery is going. Although I will say that maybe, again, take it with a grain of salt, that got some good news. Maybe it's progressing nicely, sort of thing, where the Brewers were able to be comfortable with this. Like, I would imagine that this year, and shout out to our good buddy Brandon Berg, because this is something he mentioned a couple weeks ago, that he'd like to see Brewers, maybe sign Woodruff to a 2-year deal, first year knowing he's not going to pitch, but you kind of have him in your system and such and keep tabs on him and all that. So shout out to B for calling that. But I would imagine that this first season, probably not getting paid a whole lot. Still, from all accounts, not the plan is that he won't be pitching this year from everything we've been told prior. And let's be real too, like we've talked with Dr. Crow about this. This is a serious injury. This is a serious injury to his shoulder, and there's still some question marks out there whether, can he return to form? Is he gonna have to maybe change his role up here a little bit? A lot is still to be decided. But I like this move. It's not a move that is probably going to, benefit your team on the field this season, but it allows you to bring a guy in, rehab under your watchful eye. You can keep tabs on his progression. And, you're hoping that when he's ready, when he does come back, you're going to get same old Brandon Woodruff, maybe into next year. But Clubhouse was talking about it. Christian Yelich was talking a little bit about it. Pat Murphy was talking about it. It's all guys love it. Guys who have played with Woody over the last few years, they like it. I mean, I don't think this was the main reason why they brought him back, but I think this also sends a message throughout the clubhouse, a positive message throughout the clubhouse, giving some positive vibes and all that. But Pat Murphy saying you can't talk about the greatest era in Brewer history and not talk about Brandon Woodruff. He's been rock solid, and he's trusted by every single person that have been on our teams. We'll talk some more Brewers coming up here in just a little bit. I don't know if you are one of those that kind of looks at like fan graphs or projections when we get closer to seasons starting and such, but got a few more there surrounding the crew, and I don't know, it's maybe some interesting numbers out there and such. So we're going to talk some more Brewers baseball, but send me your thoughts on the Brandon Woodruff signing, bringing him back. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. So we'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. We'll throw in some Badger talk with RJ Cardinal coming up in a couple of hours from now, a little over 2 hours. Badger basketball wasn't that long ago, a couple weeks ago. They were ranked number 6. They are no longer ranked in the top 25 with the latest polls coming out yesterday. The Badgers, I don't think to a surprise by many, now officially out of the top 25, and with only one game this week, which happens to be tonight against Maryland. Next one's going to be a week from today. Might be another week where they not in the top 25 at this point in time. But we'll catch up with RJ, talk about this frustrating team, this irritating team, this perhaps overrated team, and all that good stuff. So plenty of Badgers chat coming up here. We'll throw a little green and gold chat in here too. Packers got their new strength and condition coach. You know, we were so focused on defensive coordinator, and then okay, is the guy going to bring in some of his assistant coaches or his own guys, I should say, to fill out the staff, and kind of forgot it's like, oh yeah, LaFleur fired their strength and condition coach, a coach that like a lot of fans just generally would throw out there as maybe not understanding the whole process of being a strength and conditioning coach, but kind of just generally throwing out there they'd like to see a change there. And oh, yep, kind of forgot that. Yeah, he did, and still needed to hire one. Well, he hired the assistant over from San Francisco, Aaron Hill, to be the new defense, or excuse me, the new strength and conditioning coach for the Pack. So got a little Packers nugget in there, I suppose. It is a raised place. Who cut and didn't cut the mustard? Again, it's kind of like studs and duds, but who did and didn't? Who's kind of like little stock report-ish too. If you're not familiar with what we've been doing with that segment for the last few weeks now, but you can play along with us. I want you to give us your picks. Who cut and didn't cut the mustard? We're going to get to that at about 6:45 here this morning. Also, we'll do a little grind my gears Tuesday. Hit that up probably just past 7, but this is your time now. If you want to do a little grind my gears, text those puppies on over to 715-830-1912 again on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. So we've got lots to hit up here this morning. Let's jump right into it, shall we? Let's talk a little more baseball. Brewers signing Brandon Woodruff, bringing him back. Probably not going to be a move again that will affect the team this year in terms of performance on the field. But what do you make of it? What are your thoughts on the signing for a guy? Let's assume that we won't see him pitch at all this year. What's kind of going through your mind right now? We'll hear a little bit from Christian Yelich. He got to talk with some of the local media members over there. His thoughts on the team and the expectations for this team. We'll take a look at that. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, too, depending on whether you are a fan of or just find it maybe curious or interesting sometimes, that's kind of why, I look at fan graphs and predictions and projections and all that. And I take it with a little bit of grain of salt, but I also think it's kind of, okay, kind of interesting to see where some people or the computers or whatever you want to call it, kind of have everything. And, well, little love for Jackson Cheerio in one department, but also Bryce Terang. Give you a little bit of a hint right there with what we're going to be hitting up here in just a second. So let's get her going here this morning. Pitter patter, let's get at her, right? Start to hit me up with some text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break and then get things rolling on the leadoff here this morning, talking some Crew, talking some baseball. The first spring training game on the schedule for the Crew this Saturday already. Baseball season is nearly upon us, a little over a month away yet from opening day, but it's going to be here before you know it. Let's talk some more baseball after this quick break. Since we're going to be talking a little baseball to open up things here this morning, reminder: March 28th is opening day, and we're going to have a little get together, shall we say, over at Hy-Vee for opening day, starting at 11:30. That's a Thursday. It's Milwaukee will take on New York, so we'll get together, have a little shindig, as the kiddos like to say, and welcome in another new baseball season. So again, we'll start it up at about 11:30 that day. If you got nothing going on, or maybe need a quick lunch break and want to check out the game there for a little bit for a hot seconds, head on over to Hy-Vee. More details to come. I know it's a little over a month away yet, but it's going to be here before you know it. And yeah, just put it on the calendars. All right, put it on the good old calendar over there. Let's get things rolling here this morning on the leadoff. Talking some Brewers baseball. The news yesterday, of course, dropping shortly after we got off the airwaves. And of course, that always works out. But nonetheless, we get to talk about it today. Brandon Woodruff reportedly coming back to the crew. Brewers bringing him back on a 2-year deal. Now, we got to remember, too, we don't know the official details. One, the team hasn't made it official. I haven't seen any numbers out there yet. You know, speculation and that sort of stuff is rampant in 2024 and social media and such. But for what it's worth, haven't seen any official details or anything like that. However, when it comes to this move, I personally feel like a couple things are probably out there. One, again, let's assume unless he's making a remarkable recovery right now, Brandon Woodruff is not going to pitch this year. Well, I'm going with that assumption. So I think if anybody has the assumption that, you know, Brandon's going to pitch this year, he's going to be the ace, he's going to be part of the rotation, you know, maybe by the summer after the All-Star break or anything like that, I think let's still maybe lower those expectations, because this is a major shoulder injury for a Brewers or for a pitcher, okay? So let's lower those expectations a little bit. I've gone in with the mindset that we're not going to see Woody pitch at all this year. So I would assume the first year of this deal is probably pretty minimal in terms of money. Whether it's a minimum, I don't know. I don't know, but I would assume it's probably not a ton. Okay, I would assume it's not a lot. And my other assumption, again, I could be completely wrong in this, but this is just my general thoughts. I would assume that in that second year of this deal, there might be a lot of incentives. There might be a lot of benchmarks, escalators, as they like to say in some of these contract terms out there. You know, just for an example, maybe it's like, hey, Woody, you pitch 100 innings or 120 innings this year, you get $2 million escalator, $2 million bonus. You win 12 games, you get another 5 million, stuff like that. That would be my guess heading into the second year of this deal. But again, I could be completely wrong. Just I'm operating under the belief again that we're not going to see Brandon Woodruff pitch at the major league level this year. And part of that, I mean, there's a couple reasons for that. One, again, I mean, everything we've heard, everything we've been told, we've talked about it with Dr. Crow. This is a big time injury for a pitcher, and sometimes pitchers can't fully come back from an injury like this. And we don't know at this point in time, is Brandon Woodruff going to be the same Brandon Woodruff? Is he going to have to transition to a little bit of a different role? We don't know. It's a big unknown at this point in time. So we're kind of operating, you know, driving at the wheel or steering the steering wheel and not really knowing where we're going right now at this point, because it's kind of a wait and see approach with Woodruff. I mean, you hope he comes back and you hope he still can be a really good starter in this league, but we don't know quite yet. All that being said, knowing that we're probably not going to see him this year, knowing that it's a tough injury to come from or come back from. All that being said, I really like this move. I really like this move for a few different reasons for the Crew. One, by bringing him in for a couple of years, and again, shout out to our good buddy Brandon Berg, who you hear on Friday mornings, and he's our Brewer guy, and he threw out this possibility a couple weeks ago, saying, I like the Brewers to, I'm paraphrasing, I like the Brewers bring him back for a couple years, for like a 2-year deal, and knowing the first year probably not going to see him, but get him in the system and such, and guy nailed it. But that's where one part where I like this is in the main part. You bring him in, you're kind of bringing him in with the expectation, and probably know, okay, we're not going to force it, we're not going to push it, and that's the other thing too. Remember, he had 2 shoulder injuries last year, and that's where I don't think the Brewers are going to really push it for this year. They're going to take their time. Remember, he missed a ton of time last year dealing with a shoulder injury, and then right before the postseason starts, shoulder injury pops up again. Remember that? He was supposed to be the game 2 starter, then all of a sudden he's done. So the fact that he had a couple of shoulder injuries last year, I think, is going to, have the Brewers be a little bit more cautious with this thing, be patient with it, not force the issue, and not try to get him back out there as soon as possible. But again, with all that being said, I like it because in that first year, you bring him in, you monitor his progression, you get him within your rehab process, you get him in that pitching lab that we always hear about with the Brewers. That's the one thing, let's be honest, Brewers, one thing they've kind of done a pretty decent job at has been figuring out some pitchers or getting some pitchers back on track or doing a pretty solid job at developing some pitchers. So getting Brandon Woodruff back and getting him in that quote pitching lab and being able to monitor his progress and monitor his recovery, I think is incredibly beneficial for a team like the Crew. And I also think it's incredibly beneficial for a guy like Brandon Woodruff to hook up with a team, to work with their staff, to work with their athletic training staff, and not necessarily have to try to go out on your own and find your own docs and physical therapists and athletic trainers and such. Now you're together with the team and you're all on the same page with everything, working together to try to get back. So I think it's beneficial for the team, but also I think it's beneficial for Brandon Woodruff to be a part of that team and working collectively together to get back out on the field. And I feel like, again, without knowing the money details, and maybe there's a simple thing like it's a 2-year deal. And again, I'm just going to throw something out there. Maybe it's a team option for the second year. Maybe after the first year of monitoring him and watching him rehab and all that, and if they don't like where it's going or they don't see any positive stuff, maybe they opt out. I don't know. I'm throwing out possible scenarios. But you bring a guy like that back too, who is widely respected in the clubhouse, widely respected within the organization for a lot of the moves that have been, let's face it, some poor PR ones in terms of fans. And the Corbin Burns one stunk. Sure, it took a little bit of a hit in the clubhouse, definitely took a hit amongst fans and such. This is a nice one. And I know we're not in the business, and baseball's not in the business, and they're not in the business of making feel-good moves and we're just going to do this to make people happy. That's not the business they're in, and I don't want them to be in that type of business. But I do think it sends a positive message throughout the clubhouse, gives a little fire, gives a little spark, like, all right, our guy's back. The guy we've gone to battle with, the guy that has pitched a ton for us, has been one of our better players over the years. We're bringing him back. We may not get him this year. He's hurt in that, but the team brought him back, and he's going to be around. I think that's a benefit for this ball club too. So I'm excited. Again, I wouldn't expect a whole lot of updates about him this year. Just let him do his thing. let him recover, let him rehab, let him work at trying to get back. And maybe this is more of a topic of conversation heading into the next offseason or next spring training. And maybe we'll get another run with Brandon Woodruff at that time. But I like it. Thumbs up. Not expecting anything this year, but thumbs up. Bringing him back in the organization. Christian Yelich. After position players reporting and that, so we finally got to see Christian Yelich taking a little BP, talk to some of the members of the media yesterday in front of his locker and such. Couple of notes from Yelich in his media session yesterday. Did express some optimism about his team's chances heading into this year. Kind of noted that everybody's always picked against them, and they've always kind of exceeded expectations and such. So, also he talked about his role with the team. He said playing left field is ideally what I want to do. Some DHing is nice, but I definitely don't want to primarily DH. I still enjoy playing the outfield, and it's something I can do as much as possible. I'm sure I'll rotate through similar to last year whenever there's a good spot that makes sense. Pat Murphy also saying, I consider him our left fielder, but there is going to be ample times for him, Hoskins, and William Contreras to DH as well. I don't know what the number will be, but I want him in the lineup for 162 games minus whatever he needs. He also said he's looking forward to seeing Jackson. This is Christian Yelich again, back to Yelich. He's looking forward to seeing Jackson Cheerio suit up this spring. He said he has not seen Cheerio play in person, but he said, quote, Cheerio is obviously really talented for the organization to make a commitment like that. Talking about his new deal. He's got a very bright future ahead of him, and we just have to let him play and let him be a kid and a rookie in the big leagues. Obviously, when you sign a contract like that, there are expectations and everything that comes along with that. But at the same time, you have to let him play because there will be growing pains in this league. He also went on to say, I'm one of the older guys on this team for sure, and I've been around the league for a little bit. So you try to help these guys navigate the first time or two through the league. It's difficult. You can prepare for the major leagues, but the first time you're in it is the first time you find out what it's all about. It's the best league in the world for a reason. Yelich also went on to say some of the guys that we have had here and have moved on will be some of the best players that the franchise has ever seen. But before they were that, they were also these young kids that were super talented that people weren't as familiar with, that grew, learned at the big league level, and developed into these household names. These guys definitely have that potential. Talking about the Crew's younger makeup of this roster, I think is probably the proper way to say that. So at Yelly, talking a little bit about the youngsters on his ball club. Seems to be a little excited. You could go on social media and such and see some of the video clips of it. The audio kind of gets a little bit hard because they're recorded on cell phones and such, but from some of the writers out there. But you can hear Yelich kind of talk a little bit about it. But he was one too that was definitely happy about the Brandon Woodruff news and coming back to the Brewers. So talking about projections too, since we were talking a little bit about Jackson Cheerio over there. And again, that's another big unknown, how he's going to turn out, what to expect from him this year and such. But if you are one that likes to kind of look at fan graphs or maybe some predictions or some projections and such, and that's what MLB has been doing right now. And almost every league does it as they prepare to open up, their season and such. Get a little conversation going, some arguing. I don't want to say arguing points, but little debate points and that sort of stuff. But one of the latest ones out there from MLB.com in terms of predicting and projections, stolen bases. Stolen bases and stolen. And this is something I think, starting from last year and even going into this year, Brewers fans would like to see the players be a little bit more aggressive on the base paths and maybe steal some more bases, really utilize the speed of their younger players, and even throw in a Yelich over there. Really trying to be aggressive on those base paths, stealing more than maybe we've seen in years prior. You've got the banning of the shift and taking advantage of that, utilizing the speed with their young guys of Sal Frelick and Garrett Mitchell and Joey Weimer, maybe even Jackson Cheerio. So Brewers fans have wanted to see that. They've been talking about it. Well, you're not the only ones that are kind of talking about that. MLB.com, then their latest predictions, predicting this year's stolen base leader. Now, they've got their top 5. And I'll tell you right now, no Brewer player is in the top 5, okay? However, they've got their next 5 of dark horse candidates. And the first 2 are Milwaukee Brewers players. Number 1, Jackson Cheerio. As they note, one of the fastest players on Major League Baseball's Pipeline's list of baseball's top 100 prospects, Cheerio has a good chance to make his big league debut on opening day this year after signing an 8-year, $82 million contract. And that means Cheerio, who turns 20 in March, will have ample opportunities to show off his wheels in the majors after swiping 44 bases over 128 games in the minors a year ago. So their number 1 dark horse candidate, Jackson Cheerio. So who's number 2? Bryce Turang. Bryce Turang. Turang's 218, 285, 300 line in 448 plate appearances as a rookie last year is both a worrying sign and an encouraging one when it comes to his 2024 outlook for steals. On one hand, if that level of production continues, Turang probably will lose playing time and not get the chance to pile up steals. On the other hand, going 26 for 30 despite a sub 600 OPS suggests that even a modest improvement at the plate could have Bryce Turang in his 96th percentile sprint speed running wild. The 24-year-old was a first-round draft pick and a touted prospect who owns a 365 on-base percentage in extensive time at AAA. So such a step forward is not out of the question. Speed. As Mickey and Rocky 2 would tell Sylvester Stallone or tell Rocky Balboa, when he's chasing the chicken, getting ready to chase the chicken, got to get speed. Speed is what we need. Greasy, fast speed, right? Brewers have speed. Are they going to use it? Are they going to take advantage? We talk about speed in the defense and covering a lot of ground in that outfield, covering out some ground in the infield. Are they going to use that speed now on the offensive side of things? They've brought in Rhys Hoskins. They brought in a bat, assuming that they're still going to bring in Gary Sanchez and such. We'll see. But maybe trying to solidify that lineup with a little bit more power. Are they now going to utilize that speed and be aggressive on the base pass? You got an older manager making his, he's been an interim manager at the major league level with the Padres for a hot minute, long-time college coach, long-time bench coach. But a little bit more of he is an older manager. Is he going to bring maybe a little bit more of an old school mentality and going to be aggressive on the base pass? I hope so. You got all that young speed out there. I really hope that we see this team, and knowing how young they are and a little inexperienced, maybe the way to manufacture some more runs, to be aggressive. And I think the part 2 here is you bring in a guy like Rhys Hoskins, assuming that, he's going to be able to provide the pop and the power over there. You get one of those table setters on, you get one of those speed guys out there, puts a little bit more pressure on that pitcher, knowing that you've got a guy with a decent bat up at the plate there too. So I hope we see this Brewers team be uber aggressive and stealing some bases this year. Take advantage of that speed. All right, let's take a quick break here, and we'll do the Raise Place cut of the mustard. Who did cut the mustard and who didn't cut the mustard? Play along with us. Send us your picks with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Does your team need to make a statement on and off the field? Whether you are managing a sports team or a business team, Resonance Branding Company knows that looking good matters. For custom apparel, banners, and signage, online merchandise stores, printed products, and so much more, Resonance Branding Company is your one-stop shop. High quality decoration, affordable products, quick turnaround time, and top-notch customer service. Resonance Branding Company is here to help your brand resonate with your audience. Check them out at resonancebrandingcompany.com or visit their shop in Altoona today. Resonance Branding, the official swag sponsor of the podcast and the DK show over there. Speaking of which, head to our Facebook group page, Man Cave Conversations. I threw up a question. I need some input from you all. Okay, so if you're not a member of our Facebook group page, just look up Man Cave Conversations. It's a private one. You got to get approved in that, but we'll approve you. But go over there. I posted up a question late last night, and if we did some swag, if we had some swag available, for purchase and such, what kind of swag you looking for? You looking for like a hoodie? You looking for a tee? You looking for a long sleeve, mugs or something like that? And what should we put on there? Should we do a little Victory Scotch one? Should we do some of the podcast? Should we do some of the show? Backyard Dreams, all that stuff. Go over to Man Cave Conversations Facebook group and put your input on there. Big thanks to everybody who's already put their thoughts and gave us their input and such. So appreciate that. All right, it is time for the Ray's Place, the wonderful, the iconic, the legendary Ray's Place on Water Street. Grab your hot beefs, your ham sandwiches, Spanish stew. Get a little mustard on those. Love that mustard down there over at Ray's Place, and that's why we call it Who Cut and Didn't Cut the Mustard. Presented by Ray's Place for this morning. Reminder, you can all play along too. Who cut and didn't cut the mustard? Hit us up with your text for your picks. Mine, I'll start off with who did cut the mustard, and I had to switch it. I had it picked yesterday, but I had to switch it because of what the Minnesota Wild did yesterday. So we had some day hockey, right, because of President's Day yesterday, going up against Vancouver. Vancouver, one of the better teams in the league. Minnesota beating them 10-7, scoring 7 goals in the third period. However, Minnesota's scored 6 times in a span of 5 minutes and 45 seconds, which was the fastest such flurry in the NHL in 25 years since Washington had 6 goals in 4 minutes, 47 seconds in a game in February in 1999. So, who cut the mustard? The Minnesota Wild cut that mustard yesterday. So, kudos to them over there. Who didn't cut the mustard? I'm going with Rick Pitino. Now, Rick Pitino, a couple days ago, after a loss to Seton Hall, Rick Pitino kind of venting a little bit. He went on a little bit of a tirade in his post-game availability. He criticized everything from his team's facilities to his players, and declaring that his first season with St. John's was, quote, the most unenjoyable experience of my lifetime. Also went on to say, quote, do we have, I got to clear out some of these words, crappy facilities? Yes, we do. Having crappy facilities has nothing to do with not guarding. He called out players by name, saying, look, Joel Soriano's slow laterally. He's not fast on the court. Chris Ludlam is slow laterally. Sean Conway's slow laterally. Brady, physically weak. Drissa, slow laterally. Went on to say, too, quote, lost this season the way we recruited. The players don't align with how he coaches. It's a good group. They try hard, but they're just not very tough. He followed it up yesterday. Didn't he stand by his critiques? So, maybe a little bit of time to kind of cool down and all that. Nope. He went on speaking to Newsday yesterday that he, quote, truly wasn't ripping anybody. saying I was pointing out exactly in a monotone voice why we lost. I'm not always calm, and certainly not when I rip someone. I was not ripping anybody. I sometimes want my players to hear my words and read my words. That was my intention. I was asked the question, why do you blow second half leads? And I can tell you sometimes it's missed free throws at the end of the game, and opponents make free throws. Sometimes it's a turnover. Sometimes it's a bad shot selection that also leads to runouts. It's not the same reason every time, but it's the same reason every time of why you foul. You foul because you take a bad shot, you get caught in a bad situation defensively, and you're not overly quick laterally. So when you go to defend the basket, rather than beat them to the spot, you foul. That's what I was trying to point out. I'm fine with what I said. You shouldn't be, Rick. You shouldn't be. It's not saying I agree with it, not saying I'm in favor of it, but times have changed in college sports. Little thing called transfer portal and NILs and all that sort of stuff, but kind of have to manage players a little bit differently, kind of have to manage personalities a little bit differently. So again, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying I'm against tough love and all that, but given how today's college world is and kind of going out there and with some of the comments that you said calling out with those players are going to remember that. Potentially future players are going to remember that too. Again, not saying whether I agree with that mindset or not, but I think it's kind of evident in a lot of cases right now. Maybe the old school mentality doesn't always work. And just kind of going out there and criticizing facilities and players. I mean, you were the one who recruited these players. Dude, you were the one. You were the one that took this job. If you didn't like the facilities, you were the one who took this job. You were the one who recruited a lot of these players. Lost this season the way we recruited is the phrase you said. You got nobody else to blame but yourself, coach. Nobody else to blame. You lost one productive player from last year's team by coming in. That was AJ Storr, who's now with Wisconsin. I'm okay with that. So Rick Pitino didn't cut the mustard. Catching up on a couple of texts. Brandon's mom here, just my opinion on the Woody signing. Glad they are giving him a shot. No better place for him to rehab than with the team. He knows best. Have a great day. G-Man, DK, way to go, Brewers. Brandon W. will get us wins for the crew, and the next thing you know, the Brewers will win the division and the World Series. P.S. I will be there at Hy-Vee on opening day. Go Brewers. A couple more texts here. I like the Brewers signing of Brandon Woodruff, like you said, not expecting him to pitch at all this year, but the fact that he's within the system and they can help him rehab and keep an eye on him, I think is a win situation for both sides. Another texter here. This is from Jake. Jake is saying, solid move by the Brewers to bring back a longtime Brewer and fan favorite and team favorite Brandon Woodruff back to the team, excuse me. Not expecting him to pitch this year, but I think this is a positive PR move throughout the clubhouse and potentially, if he rehabs and gets back to normal, a really good signing for the following season. All right, we'll get back to some more Brewers chats coming up a little bit later on, but keep your thoughts coming. Hit us up with the text. We're going to talk some Badgers as well with RJ Cardinal coming up at about 8:15, 8:20. We'll say 8:20 this morning. Badger basketball back in action tonight, taking on Maryland. The only game this week. This Badger basketball team now officially out of the top 25 in the latest rankings that dropped yesterday. Probably no big surprise for anybody out there, but we'll talk some Badgers with Mr. Cardinal. Also talk a little Badger hockey with him as they get sets for some postseason play for the Badgers. So we'll hit that up. Coming up just past the top of the hour, though, we'll do a little Grind My Gears Tuesday. What's grinding your gears? Now is the time to hit us up with the text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line to kind of get it off your chest and that. What's grinding your gears? Let us know. We'll and if you keep it clean, we'll kind of put it out there in the airwaves for you to make you feel a little bit better over there too. I will be updating the pickup challenges up on our websites now that All-Star break's going to be ending here. We got a big game Friday with the Bucks taking on the T-Wolves. So a couple of you reached out there. Those will be updated this morning. I'll add some games up there on hope maybe I'll do it during some commercial breaks and such and get that up there. But we will have games to pick on the fan cave portion of our website. So sportstalk1051.com. Just click on the fan cave and you'll be able to make some picks a little bit later on this morning. Got a couple minutes left here. The first. Good morning, Morgs.
Hey, Kasper, so what's coming in on top of your fashion list? Yeah, I posed that question last night about swag and merch. What do people want? Do they want hats? Do they want hoodies? Do they
Long
want
sleeve
mugs?
tees seem to be the big one.
What?
Yeah.
Long sleeve tees?
Yeah.
Why don't you go throwback, though? Why don't you do like a Man Cave Zubas or something?
Chubas.
We're going to talk fashion trends a little bit today just because you're trying to get people to chime in on swag. But that surprises me, the long sleeve
I
t-shirt,
don't
though.
know. Maybe nobody's got the guns to show off or something.
I hear you.
Yeah.
The guns stay under wraps the older you get.
No tickets to the gun show, apparently.
So what do you think were one of the better sports fans over the years, fashion fads? Because you had Zubas, but then do you remember going through like a starter coat phase?
Oh, I wish they are kind of back, but they're so expensive now.
That hit hard when I was in school. Like the starter coat thing was big.
The satin button-up jackets.
Okay.
And the pullover starter jacket. Heck yeah. Or I'll even say Logo Athletic 7 because it was a brand that was at Kmart in Medford. So that's what we were kind of.
So what teams? What did you represent with the starter gear back in the day?
Green Bay.
Yeah.
I had an Orlando Magic one.
Everybody loved the Magic. I remember that. That was big too when I grew up.
I did have a Phoenix Suns one for a year.
Okay.
Because Penny got traded to the Suns.
So it was player focused, not team focused.
Yeah, somebody gave it to me and I'm like, okay, I'll wear it. But it was Green Bay every year I got a new one.
Okay. So where is Hutzy at now with the new age trends? Because Siggy's right there with the jersey thing, but they're very picky. Like right now it's mostly footwear oriented. Like it's a lot of like the high Nike socks, and then you have to have the Blazers or team shoes and that kind of thing. He
wants Nike shoes now because his reasoning is receivers wear Nike shoes, but he's paying attention to what's on TV. They're cleats, so he sees the Nike,
of course,
on there. He's in the joggers, those pants.
Oh yeah,
the jogger pants,
tight at the ankle. Yeah. Everybody made fun of dads for wearing them, but turns out now everybody's back to the tight ankle joggers.
Exactly. So I mean, he wears a cap. By the way, he can wear baseball caps in school all day.
You can?
I know.
We never got to do that.
I know.
It's kind of a game changer. Now you got to ump the cat collection.
He's got a bigger collection than I did when I was a kid, and that's saying something.
So dress yourself head to toe. Biggest style win, sports win that you had. If you're going to take yourself back, you can pull back the curtain, embarrass yourself all the way. But you thought you were fly when you had this on. Take us head to toe.
So I got a couple versions here, but really quickly. Let's assume it's winter. You got the pullover starter jacket.
Wait, team.
Yep.
Team.
Packers.
Okay.
With the stocking cap with like the braids that went all the way down to your bottom there. Take it off. What do you got? You got wind pants and the zip up wind jacket.
Okay.
Purple, green, blue, whatever, the colors of the 90s.
Color coordinated.
Then under that jacket, you had the basketball jersey with the turtleneck.
A turtleneck.
Gotta wear the turtleneck.
Okay, so maybe that's what you should do for your man cave swag. Not a long sleeve tee, a turtleneck. Yep. Bring it back.
Second hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning, February 20th. What up, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in. However, wherever you may be tuning in from. Coming up, we'll talk some green and gold. Packers got a new strength and conditioning coach. Gentleman by the name of Aaron Hill from the San Francisco 49ers. So, still kind of waiting. You know what? Let me double check here because I don't think they've actually officially announced it. Let me double check. Have they? Packers.com. Yeah, they did officially announce the new defensive coordinator, but usually they put them out there for a little presser and such. So I don't know if they're going to do that this year or not, but they got okay. They got Jeff Hafley on there. They don't have the other defensive assistants on there, so I don't know. Maybe LaFleur just kind of waiting to get everybody in place and then doing one big old presser at the same time. I don't know, but okay. So I was just kind of curious. We know some of the assistants coming over, but nothing official from the team yet. Anyways, we'll talk some green and gold. We've got Badger chat coming up next hour with Mr. RJ Cardinal. Badger basketball back in action tonight. The only game this week as they take on Maryland. The Badgers now outside the top 25 in the latest AP polls. You got Marquette, who is also dropped 3 spots. They're at number 7. When you're looking at your latest poll rankings here, let me bring up UConn, the easy number 1 team in the country right now. After that, you've got Houston that moved up a spot. Purdue, even though with a loss, so Purdue loses to Ohio State. This might be a little grind my gears for some people. Thought about it yesterday. Purdue loses to Ohio State, who just fired their head coach, interim head coach there. They drop 1 spot. Marquette loses to the number 1 team in the country, albeit they got dominated. And I think that's probably the biggest part of this. But Marquette loses to the number 1 team in the country, and they fall 3 spots. Oh. But UConn, Houston, Purdue, Arizona, Tennessee, Iowa State, who moved up 4 spots. They just fell to Houston, though. But Marquette, Duke, Kansas, and North Carolina rounding out your top 10. Illinois coming in at number 12. Virginia just got dominated. Oh, holy moly. Virginia, cool. And Virginia had was the top for others receiving votes, so kind of 26. Yeah. Gonzaga would be 27. Wisconsin would be 28. They got 88 votes. Michigan State right behind them at 64. So we'll hit up that and then talk some Badger hockey with Mr. Cardinal coming up in the next hour. What else do we got here? We're going to get back to some more Brewers chat. Keep your thoughts coming on the Brandon Woodruff signing for the Crew. First spring training game coming up on Saturday for the Brewers. So it's coming, baby. We're going to get to a little grind my gears. I know I said just past 7 o'clock. I'm actually going to wait till 7:45, about 7:45 to finish up the second hour with some grind my gears. So what's grinding your gears? You can let us know. Get it off your chest. Hit us up with that text. Also, it is a Ray's Place. Who cut and didn't cut the mustard? Okay. You can make your picks by hitting us up with that text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Let's catch up on a couple texts. Speaking of which, with Brandon Woodruff, we've got David saying that I know the Brandon Woodruff signing doesn't mean anything for the team this year, but it just feels like a feel-good story to bring him back within the organization. And I like the fact that they're going to be able to keep tabs on him and monitor his rehab. Eric coming in with a text saying, I like the Brandon Woodruff signing. Hopefully he can recover and get back to being a very good starting pitcher. Kind of a fun little topic here. This was switching gears really quick, just for a skosh here. Golfers, did you see this Golf Digest article? I posted it up on my Facebook page yesterday, facebook.com/Kasper Sports. But Golf Digest, this was a few days ago. Definitive ranking of the best states for public golf. Best states for public golf. Number 1 not Florida, not California, not a warm weather state. It'd be good old Wisconsin, baby. Number one. They got 10 courses listed. So the write up, which again was posted up on February 17th, but last year, this is from the article. Last year, when we published our latest America's 100 greatest and second 100 greatest course rankings, we tallied up the states with the most courses on the list to determine which state has the best golf in the United States. Now, with the data from our latest America's 100 greatest public ranking, we're applying the same method to determine which state has the greatest public golf. All right. So number one, Scotty. Number one, as it says here, Wisconsin prioritizes excellent public access courses, but lack as many elite private clubs of many other states in kind of referring to like maybe California and such. But their course is number 4, Whistling Straits, the Straits course number 4 on the list of 100 greatest public rankings. You got Erin Hills at number 10, Sand Valley and Nakusa at number 17, Black Wolf Run 18, the River Course, Sand Valley Golf Resort, Mammoth Dunes at 26, Century World 52, Whistling Straits 56, the Irish Course, the golf courses of Lasonia, the Links 62, Black Wolf Run, Meadow Valleys number 74, and the Bowl at Pinehurst Farms. I think it's only fair now that we should probably test this theory and test these rankings, and we got to hit up these courses, see how these 10 rank. Anybody listening right now, have you golfed any of those courses? I know some have, but how many of you have golfed a couple of those courses, or have you golfed any of them? I'll be honest with you. This list, I have not golfed any of them. I haven't. I've had an opportunity for a couple of them. I didn't take advantage of it, and that's my fault, and that's my bad. Definitely on my bucket list of courses that I want to play. I want to play Whistling Straits so bad. I want to play Sand Valley. Those are a couple that are right at the top of my list. But is anybody listening right now, have you golfed any of these? And if you have any connections, let me know, because I got to knock some of these courses off my bucket list. The time is now. But I think we need to get a little tour going. I think it's only right if the bosses at hand are listening. I think you need to send the station over to test these rankings to see if they live up. You know what I mean? Just throwing it out there, man. So, all right, let's talk a little green and gold here. So the Packers, they've got their new strength and conditioning coach, as we mentioned, a gentleman by the name of Aaron Hill. I'll be honest with you, just like a lot of you, I don't know a whole lot about Aaron Hill. Okay. And unlike defensive coordinators or offensive coordinators or position coaches and such, don't know, like, didn't really have anybody in mind, like who they should go target for a strength and conditioning coach. So I rely on some of the players and others in the know from some of their feedback. So a little bit on Aaron Hill's background, if you're just kind of curious about, um, where he came from and maybe a little bit of his background. So he spent the last 5 seasons with the 49ers as the assistant strength and conditioning coach. He spent some time, he had an off-season internship with the Panthers in 2015, and then he served, or I shouldn't say served, but he worked as an assistant strength and conditioning coach at Vanderbilt from 15 to 18 until Kyle Shanahan hired him in 2019. So there's a little bit of background. Again, I saw Matt Schneidman, who covers the Packers for The Athletic, because he was the first one to break it, I believe. So give him credit there. But when he posts that, Eric Harris, who plays for the 49ers, he's a safety over there, had tweeted back at him and said, "Love this for Aaron. Great individual that brings a lot of experience." So he got an endorsement from a 49ers player about the hiring there. So, we'll see. Again, I'm not going to pretend to know a whole lot about Aaron Hill, the new strength and conditioning coach, and what he's going to bring to the table and what, you know, kind of game plan he's going to have for, training and maybe limiting hamstring injuries or that. I don't know. And we don't know. Okay. Let's not pretend like we know a whole lot there. But obviously, Green Bay wanted to switch something up. They wanted to change something up with a lot of their soft tissue injuries. We'll see if this actually makes a difference or not. Hey, I saw here too that began his career as an intern at the University of Minnesota. All right, so he's a little bit familiar with the upper Midwest, though. So, all right, there you have it. Yesterday, I asked if you had any Packers free agents in mind. Or I should say, let me rephrase that. If you had any free agents in mind, or free agents like high on your realistic wish list for the Packers to kind of target this offseason. And some of you kind of throwing out some names. Winfield was a popular one, the safety from Tampa Bay, which hate to burst your bubble, but I think if Tampa Bay can't get to a contract there, I'm pretty sure he might get the franchise tag. Not to burst your bubble or anything like there. But and I get it in the NFL world now, some are striving for some content out there, and you go to NFL.com and they've got an article, a blog article, whatever you want to call it, NFC cut candidates. And I love Bill Huber, who covers the Packers for Sports Illustrated for SI.com. He just tweeted back at it, simply LOL. Because if you look at it, if you actually read it, I mean, the first one up there is a guy I think we're all expecting to happen. It's David Bakhtiari. Okay, let's not kid ourselves. That's probably going to happen. But then they list Aaron Jones, which I don't know if that's the one they were LOLing at. And then they also have Kenny Clark. Again, could be LOLing at that. Bakhtiari, yes. I would be shocked if the Packers cut Aaron Jones and Kenny Clark. I would be shocked if they cut either one of those. Would it open up some space? I think it would. But I almost feel like Kenny Clark might be one of those candidates where it's going to be an extension, lowering a little bit of the cap hit. The guy is still 28 years old, coming off of one of his best, maybe his best statistical season of his career. And I want to see him. I think he's a guy that's going to benefit with this new style of defense. So I want to see him come back and play within this. So I'd be shocked if those two guys were going to be cut and I don't see it. I don't see it. And I know there's been, some deadlines you're probably seeing like here, let me just kind of get the wording exact for you out here. But you're starting to see maybe out there some deadlines passing for certain players to get some extra. Yeah, so the Packers will count. This is from Rob Domofsky. The Packers will count $9.48 million in dead money on their 2024 salary cap after they did not reach extensions with three players whose contracts voided as of the end of the business. As of end of business today, this was the other day. Darnell Savage, about 5.5. Josh Nijman, 2.5. Keyshawn Nixon, 1.5. Now, as Rob also noted, the Packers used void years on their deals to spread out bonus money on their cap. And so, I mean, that's that whole voided thing from a few years ago. These players will become free agents unless the Packers come to a new agreement with them before the new league year. This does not, and I want to stress this again, this does not mean that these guys, one of these guys, couple of these guys, are not coming back to Green Bay. Would it have saved them a little bit of money if they were able to work out an extension, work out a deal, before the other day, before that deadline, before their contracts, would that save them a little bit of money? Yes, it would have. But in terms of like Keyshawn Nixon with that $1.5 million hit, that to me is not a big deterrer or sign that he's not coming back. It's very similar to Robert Tonyan. When they brought Robert Tonyan back on a 1-year deal, he kind of had a similar contract void where they counted an extra million and change. They let it expire. Then they brought him back. I still feel like Green Bay wants Keyshawn Nixon back. And I feel like they looked at $1.5 million as like, okay, that's not really going to push the needle for us to make sure we try to get this deal done right away. I don't see that. Maybe you can make the case with Darnell Savage with that 5.5. Maybe. I don't think Yash is back. But I want to stress because I know there's some people freaking out about it. Like, oh, that means they're not coming back. We're not going to have Keyshawn Nixon back. We're not going to have a punt return. That doesn't mean that. They could still bring them back. Would it have been a little cheaper? Yes. They could have continued to kind of push it out and spread it out and all that sort of stuff. But don't freak out too much. Okay? Don't freak out too much. As Rob noted, all parties knew this day was coming. And it sounds like the salary cap, too. You know, we're kind of still waiting to hear what the salary cap is going to be for the NFL this year. You know, it's continued to rise besides the COVID year. You know, went down, all that stuff. But there might be a pretty sizable jump with this salary cap. Pro Football Talk said the 2024 salary cap is coming. Some are expecting it to be in the range of 242 to 243 million per team. And as they noted, one source said in response to that, quote, more. It'll be more. Whatever the case may be. Yeah, okay, so they updated another source with a proven record of accuracy in these matters says it will be closer to $250 million. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Put it in perspective, last year's salary cap for the NFL, $224.8 million. So you're talking about potentially a $25 million jump in the salary cap. $25 million jump in the salary cap. Teams like Green Bay, 32 teams. Every single team is going to be excited about that. They're going to be happy about that. Especially for teams who maybe have a little bit more of a dead cap hit. We just talked about Green Bay is going to have that 9.4, whatever it is. Having an increase of $25 million, they're going to be like, all right. Maybe a little bit more breathing room there. And maybe allows teams that are, you know, not every team's got a boatload of cash to go out there and spend like New England or the top teams out there. But for a team like Green Bay, maybe a little bit of the pack, like, all right, maybe we got a little bit more to play with now. Just a little bit more aggressive in free agency coming up here. Let's take a quick break. We'll talk some more green and gold. We got a couple of Grind My Gears coming up, too. We'll get to those in about 15, 20 minutes. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
choices along the way.
We've seen bell bottoms and even disco balls. One thing that never goes out of style, Wheelway's commitment to serving the community with quality vehicles and low monthly payments.
This month, they are featuring 25 vehicles under $20,000 to commemorate. Have a few bad credit bumps in the road? Don't worry, they can help you have a smooth ride.
Because when it comes to cars, they've been driving down memory lane for 50 fantastic years. Visit online at wheelwayautos.com.
Save big money on Clearview Cabinetry. Clearview Cabinetry starts as a kitchen built for now and grows with you as life changes. It's flexible by design with full access cabinet construction, so you can go from doors to drawers for storage that works when you need it. Explore Clearview's cabinet options in store and on Menards.com and save big money today. Check out more of our great deals going on now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
After years of discomfort, it's like I'm alive again.
Sonia Hackett talks about how QC Kinetics changed her life.
QC Kinetics has given me my quality of life back.
Before QC Kinetics, Sonia suffered from horrible knee and back pain stemming from a car accident.
I was wearing knee braces just to try to maneuver around.
Sonia hated the idea of pain meds, and surgery seemed too risky, so she turned to the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics, the leaders in advanced regenerative medicine.
That consultation just changed my life. I can do the treadmill, everything. I don't have anything holding me back. The quality of life is pain-free. QC Kinetics has made us very happy.
Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation today.
I'm going to get emotional again. They are like family members to me. They care.
Call QC Kinetics now.
Call QC Kinetics, 715-443-4440. That's 715-443-4440. 715-443-4440.
Are you tired of driving a beater? Come down to Auto King for something neater. We'll find you the car that you're looking for. At Auto King, we offer more. Rain or shine, come on down, and you'll be on your way driving around. Stop by Birch Street in Eau Claire for the best deals anywhere.
He doesn't just talk sports, he knows sports. In fact, he and sports are best friends. I saw the two of them last night knocking back a couple of cold ones. The Dan Kasper Show, weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
It's tax season, so while you may be a little frustrated, a little annoyed trying to track down your W-2s and trying to figure out whether you're going to do it yourself or have someone file for you, think about the light at the end of the tunnel. It's that return some extra coin in your pocket. Now, what should you do with that extra cash burning in your pocket? That's the big question. How about finally changing out that old ratty carpet in your home and getting some new luxurious carpet or vinyl planks from Wisconsin's premier flooring store, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire? Whatever style of flooring you're looking for, or maybe you're not sure what style you want yet, the team at Carpet City Flooring Center is waiting to help you find that perfect new floor for your space. So, guys, what are you waiting for? Guys, gals, what are you waiting for? Once you get your taxes done, go visit Carpet City Flooring Center at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue and chat with one of their awesome team members over there. They'll help you so that you can finally get that new floor in your home that you have been wanting for a while now, and all at the best price in town because they will match or beat the competition. And rumor has it, coming up here soon, the putting challenge from Carpet City Flooring Center will be back. More details to come on that. Really quick, we've got Surveyor here. DK, you know what my beef is. Football is over. The last weekend was the first time in 29 weeks we didn't have football, and I was a little lost, a little depressed, and a little upset. I also had a wifey to-do list a mile long because I kept pushing it off due to football. Way to go, Sam. Way to go. The offseason now in full swing here. We've got franchise tags. That window is opened up now. We got free agency that will begin in less than a month at this point in time. Joe, is there a free agent, non-Packers one out there? Is there a guy that maybe kind of intrigues you or you would pound the table for Goody maybe to make a run at?
You know what? There's not one guy but there's a position group, and obviously that's safety. And when you look at this defense and how this defense is going to shape up, you've got a couple of natural holes as this new defense gets installed. And if you're playing a lot of single high, and obviously the Packers did not do anything with Darnell Savage, and they could have extended him, and they did not. That deadline passed. And so there's question marks whether or not Green Bay thinks that he's a fit in this defense or not. But I think Green Bay needs to look at that safety position. And I equate it to, and I'm not saying that Green Bay's going to the Super Bowl, but when Ron Wolf made the deal for Eugene Robinson, I thought that was huge. And I thought that was such a statement at that time. And again, I think Green Bay in this defense, playing a lot of single high, I think they need to look at that. And so there's some safeties out there. I mean, as you look at these free agents, there's some safeties out there, Captain. And so that's the position group. There's not one guy, though, that I say he's the one. I think there's a lot of guys at the same level. So I would make a move if I'm Goody, and he's got a lot of work to do still. And again, by the way, salary cap looks like it's going to be around 150 million. It was expected to be 143.
250.
It looks like it's going to be a little bit higher than that. And so, I'm sorry, 250. And so it's one of those things that they've still got to make some moves, question marks on Bakhtiari, restructure Preston Smith, other restructures they can do. But I think Goody does look at that safety position.
Looking, I was reading a little bit from NFL.com, and, they had this writer had NFC candidate cut lists over there. And the first one was David Bakhtiari, which I think we all just kind of assume he's probably going to be gone. But this writer had Aaron Jones and Kenny Clark listed on there. I would be shocked if those two guys are out of there, are cut because of cap casualty, as they termed it. Would you be shocked if those two guys were also cut because of, quote, cap casualty issues?
Yeah, it's clickbait at this time of year, and you're seeing it all around now, and I laugh and giggle when I see some of those headlines. And so Aaron Jones is not going anywhere. Kenny Clark's not going anywhere. Can you see restructures with the both of them? Absolutely, but they're not going anywhere. And I laughed over the last few days when you were seeing some of these reports out there, because it's nonsense. It's clickbait. Somebody takes conjecture articles. I saw Matt Schneiderman wrote something about Bakhtiari, and then all of a sudden a couple of those rumor sites said Packers expecting to release Bakhtiari. And again, it's that time of year. And when these guys are looking to get some kind of traffic to their website, to their app, to whatever it is, they're looking for clickbait. And so, yeah, Clark's not going anywhere. Aaron Jones isn't going anywhere. Look, the David Bakhtiari situation, I think Green Bay would love to try to work something out with him. I really do. I truly think that Green Bay would love to do. But David Bakhtiari hasn't shown the inclination that he's willing to take a pay cut or do a serious restructure. They turn some things into bonuses and move some money around, but no pay cut or no serious restructure. So I think it's a foregone conclusion that Bach is gone. And again, he will go into the Packer Hall of Fame. There's no question. This guy, when he was playing, when he was healthy, was the best in the game. And so, it's too bad what happened, because I think Green Bay probably does win that Super Bowl, or goes on to at least play in the Super Bowl that year that Bakhtiari got hurt. And so I think Bach is gone. I think Preston Smith stays on a restructured deal. They can add voidable years to his contract. Aaron Jones stays. I think, a question mark you've got is Devondre Campbell. What do you do with him, especially in this new 4-3 defense? So, yeah, going back to it, Aaron Jones, Kenny Clark, 97-33 will be in the green and gold.
Joe, this is also the time of year, too, that a lot of people are having fun with mock drafts and posting their mock drafts on, whether it's fan groups or social media or something like that. And for some reason, I've been seeing a lot of people mocking the Packers trading Christian Watson and then going and drafting a wide receiver in the first round. Is this a thing? I mean, is this something that you would be on board with, trading Christian Watson and then using a first-round pick to bring in another wide receiver that's maybe not named Marvin Harrison Jr., but somewhere in the back end of that first round. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. What about you?
I'm totally with you. I don't see that at all. And Matt LaFleur talks about the difference that Christian Watson makes in this offense when he's healthy, and you can just see it. And even when Christian Watson's not catching passes, if you look at the game and you look at the all 11, his ability to at least put fear into a defense opens everything up underneath. And so no, and again, Packer fans, you have to remember, Green Bay traded up with the Minnesota Vikings to get Christian Watson. And so they gave up draft capital going up and getting him. And there's just, look, there's not many guys in the NFL who are who have his size speed ratio. And so, no, I do not see Green Bay doing that. I see, it kind of blows up the theory that you want a young receiving core together and growing with Jordan Love. And if you take Christian Watson out of the mix, it just doesn't make any sense. So, no, I don't see Green Bay dealing Christian Watson. And I also don't see Green Bay taking the wide receiver in the first round. Do I see them adding a wide receiver later on in the draft? Of course. I think best player available. If there's a receiver there, you move on him. But no, I do not see Green Bay investing high draft capital in a wide receiver or trading Christian Watson.
I agree. I totally agree with you. And another, I don't know if you've had a chance. I've kind of looked at it. I haven't done any picks or anything like that, but a popular position that's really been mocked to Green Bay in these early mock drafts is corner. Again, you got Jair, Eric Stokes coming back, hopefully from injury, Carrington Valentine last year, a ton of playing time. Do you think corner is really high on that draft list for Green Bay at this current point in time?
You know what? I think, going back to Ron Wolf, I think it's a position that is always of need. I think you always have to look at cornerback and say, this could be a position for Green Bay to move at. And there's one guy, defensive back, who I really like out there. And I'm not going to give his name yet in this draft because obviously I think it's way too early to be doing mock drafts because you don't even know what Green Bay is going to do in the free agent market. And so there's one guy that I think translates really well to this defense who has experience both at cornerback and at safety. And I think that's the kind of guy you look for, is somebody who has a little bit more flexibility, a little bit of position flexibility, and someone who you can mix and match, because I think that's where it gets exciting. And look, you're hoping Eric Stokes comes back. There's no question Jair Alexander is coming back. You saw Valentine, and you saw what he could do, which was impressive as a rookie last year. But I just think cornerback is one of those positions in the NFL that you can't have too much of. And so if Green Bay decides to go defensive back in that first round, I wouldn't hate it at all if it's a guy that gives you versatility and position flexibility. I think that's the important key.
I think I know who you're talking about too, but I won't say the name either. Just I'll text you, see if I got the name right in my head. Keep everybody in suspense.
I got to tell you, in Captain, it's way too early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this guy, he might be the guy when I do my first projection. And if it holds true, it'll be my guy that I take with my last projection, because the more tape I watch of him, the more I love of him. And again, there's a lot of question marks on what kind of players are they looking for now on the defensive side of the ball. So you just can't say, well, they drafted these kind of players previously, because the whole defense is changing. And so, yeah, this is turning out, in just initial look, a good draft. This is a deep draft at certain positions that I think Green Bay will be interested in.
I agree. Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning, chatting some green and gold with us. So the Packers got a new strength and conditioning coach. I mean, I like I said earlier, I'm not going to pretend like I know a whole lot about, strength and conditioning coaches and all that sort of stuff there too. But I mean, obviously this is something that Matt LaFleur thought that they needed to switch up. We know a big topic of conversation in the offseason for the Packers has been soft tissue injuries. I mean, we mentioned a couple guys already that have been dealing with that. Watson and Eric Stokes at this point in time. So, I mean, it sure seems like now at this point in time, maybe this coaching staff is finally getting filled up here for Matt LaFleur.
They went out and got Aaron Hill, from the San Francisco organization, and you look at a strength and conditioning coach, and then you kind of look at the roster and the players he was working with, and so that's really, unless you're in the know, I think that's really the only thing you can look at when you hire a strength and conditioning coach. And somebody said the other day is if this guy was able to keep McCaffrey healthy in San Francisco, he's all in. And so and again, I try to look at what some former players said. Kurt Benkert talked about it on social media. He said when he was with the 49ers, he loved him. And so, yeah, I mean, was it time for a change? Absolutely. And here's the thing, Captain, that again, when you look at coaching staffs, Matt LaFleur didn't hire Chris Gizzy. And so he inherited Chris Gizzy. And so a lot of times, you go into a situation like, well, I don't have a guy in mind, so we're going to keep things rolling here for continuity's sake. And I think the exciting thing pretty much now on that defensive side of the ball and the strength and conditioning department these are guys that Matt LaFleur wanted and chose. And so I think that's a big thing to look at. And again, the soft tissue injuries, huge. And I would be willing to bet that if you broke it down across the NFL, Green Bay is truly not the outlier when it comes to soft tissue injuries. I think it's pretty much something that happens throughout the league. And again, you saw even with San Francisco, Deebo Samuel had some issues with that on and off over the last couple of years. And so, yeah, I based on what I saw and based on what former players that worked with him said, this seems like a good hire. And I think the other thing is it's a hire from a winning program. And I think that's even more important sometimes as guys who have been part of a program that's gone to a Super Bowl. And really, when you've got someone, you say, you can pick his brain and say, what does it take? What's the difference? Football's a game of inches. Why were you guys able to at least get to the Super Bowl over the last couple of years? Not finish it off, but at least get there. What's the difference that we're not doing here in Green Bay that we should be doing? So I think that's another thing to look at. Is you're bringing guys in from winning cultures, from winning programs, and can be a big locker room influence.
I'll end this with a question that Hudson asked me last night, and I'll get your thoughts on it. Are you ready for this? So you got.
I am ready for now. I understand Hutz is really good at math, so I hope this is not a math question.
No, it's not a math one, believe me, because I wouldn't know the answer to that either, probably. So he's asking me a lot of questions lately about like who's the best at this position, who's the best defensive tackle, who's the best wide receiver. He asked me, who's the best Packers? Like, do the Packers have a player that's best at their position across the league? Who would be that player? So I'll ask you that question.
Current player. Correct.
Yep, current player.
You know what? The only player that I think that I would put in that conversation right now is Kenny Clark. And I don't think he's the best. I don't think he's the best at that position, but I think you could argue Kenny Clark's top 5. And I think last year's stats kind of bore that out. And again, it's going to be really interesting to seeing where he plays in this new defense, if he becomes a 3 technique tackle or if he's one of those outside ends. But I would say Kenny Clark. Now, ask me that question after this coming year. And I think, could Zach Tom be in the conversation at that point? And depending on what position he's in, and again, not best at their position, but arguably top 5. And you've probably got a couple of other guys in there. So I think after this year, you might have more of that conversation. But I think the player closest to being best at his position is Kenny Clark. And I don't know what your answer was to Hutz, but I'm going with 97.
I kind of scapegoated and I said, well, there's probably a couple. And I said Kenny Clark, and I agreed with you. He's not the best one. I also said if he's healthy, maybe Jair Alexander's in that conversation too.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think you might see a few more Packers moving up in that top 5, top 7-ish type of a thing if they continue to build on what they did last year. This is and again, I don't know if you heard, Captain, but this is a young football team. So if you're getting better, if some of these guys are getting better, could I see the Packers having 5 or 6 players potentially in that conversation for top 5 at their position? Absolutely. There's no question of that. But right now, I'd give it to Kenny Clark based on what I saw last year.
All right, I'll tell him that too. You know what else he told me that I had to look up? He's like, "Hey, Dad, did Roger Staubach play in Super Bowl 12 when the Cowboys played the Broncos?" I'm like, "How the hell did you know the Cowboys played the Broncos in Super Bowl 12?" And then he's like, "Did you know A.J. Brown returned an onside kick in 2020 for a touchdown?" I'm like, "Dude, and he was right." He's like, "I read it." I'm like, "Oh, okay. We got a prodigy,
Well,
man."
here's the thing. Here's the thing, Captain. And again, I'm just going to say this. If you question where he's getting this information and where he's getting this knowledge, all you got to do is look in the mirror, my man, because he is a chip off the old block. He is definitely, he's not Captain Hudson yet, but he's certainly moving up the ranks and following in your footsteps.
Yeah, much to the disappointment sometimes of my wife, Veronica, too. So, oh man, hey, dude, I appreciate it, buddy. Let's do this again, and let's catch up again soon for maybe a victory scotch or something like that sometime soon. Okay, bud?
I would love that, Captain. We will do so, and maybe we can actually talk about that player who is definitely on my radar.
Absolutely.
And see if we agree on that. And so we'll catch up soon. Matter of fact, March is a good month for me. I'm going to be in Eau Claire a lot, so let's do something.
Perfect. Appreciate it, buddy. We'll catch up soon. Okay, sir?
All right, brother. Take care.
You got it. There you go. Joe DeGuano joining us here this morning. We got to take a quick break. We'll finish up the second hour after these few words. Backyard Dreams partnering up with Micon Cinemas to give you spring kids movies that begin this weekend. 11 a.m. showtimes, $3 for admission. That's it. Special $2 popcorn, $2 sodas, and portions of the proceeds going to help Backyard Dreams so we can help some local organizations out there. These movies are going to be at the Micon Cinemas at Oakwood Mall. First up on the list, we've got Little Giants, baby, February 24th through the 25th. Then we've got the OG, the original Bad News Bears next week, Kicking and Screaming the following week, Bingo, Field of Dreams, and then it ends on March 30th and 31st with another OG, the original Space Jam. But Little Giants starting the 24th and the 25th. The annexation of Puerto Rico, Fumblerooski, Icebox, Spike, Rick Moranis, Ed O'Neill. Come on, cinematic classic, baby. So, can check that out again. That's at the Micon Cinemas at the Oakwood Mall there, and portions of the proceeds going to the Backyard Dream. So big thanks for Micon Cinemas for partnering up with us on that. A couple of you saying on the video stream too that you have played those courses. You lucky so and so's. Noah from Bloomer, I've played Whistling Straits and Sand Valley, immaculate courses. We've got Brett saying I've played the Bowl before in college. Pretty tough, great course, though. Yeah, I'm on a James. I think you're absolutely right. I think you need to let the powers at hand know, though, that James saying there's an idea for your mobile man cave on course podcast as you tick off your Wisconsin golf course bucket list. Fantastic idea. Don't know if that's feasible. Would love to. But yeah, I got to start knocking some of those courses off the good old bucket list here. I got to start doing that. And there's a few other ones in Wisconsin that didn't make that list that we were talking a little bit about earlier. There's some other ones in Wisconsin that I definitely want to hit up that I haven't hit up. But yeah, I gotta start to knock that off. All right, let's. I'm gonna hold off on my grind my gears until just past 8 o'clock. But I might need a little bit more than 4 or 5 minutes, whatever we got left here. So then at 8:20, we'll catch up with RJ Cardinal. Badgers are back in action tonight. Badger basketball. The team is out of the top 25. Latest rankings yesterday, dropping out of the top 25. No big surprise, I don't think, for anybody out there. But Badgers just have one game, and that's tonight against Maryland. Next one will be Indiana next Tuesday. So, but they're close. What, 5 games finishing up the regular season? What do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 more games to finish up the regular season here. So we'll talk some Badger basketball with RJ. Also, we'll throw in some hockey as we get set for some postseason action for Badger hockey. Getting close to that. The men's team here, excuse me, Badger men's hockey team. Oh, I thought we had some breaking news there. Anyways, they've got Penn State coming up this weekend, and then they've got Michigan State. So they got a couple more weeks here. But the men's team coming off of getting swept from Ohio State this previous weekend, losing 2-3 in an overtime game on Friday, then falling to Ohio State again on Saturday, 1-3. So a couple more weeks left for this Badger men's hockey Badger men's hockey team before they get to some postseason action here. The women's team. They've got one more week coming at you too. Ohio State. They had a good weekend against Minnesota against the Gophers. Friday they defeated them 4-3, and then came back Saturday and shut them out 4-0. Now they got Ohio State coming to Madison, and then the WCHA playoffs beginning to the following first part of March. There. Speaking of hockey, big one tonight on the local scene. You got Chi High, the 1 seed, taking on the 4 seed Eau Claire Memorial. It's going to be at Chi High, so big time playoff hockey on the local side. The bottom part of that bracket, you've got Hudson taking on Spash. As Justice talked quite a bit about this game yesterday. If you missed that conversation, it is up on our local sports roundup through the Man Cave podcast playlist. You can check it out over there, brought to you by Amundsen's Appliance Center. But yeah, that's going to be a couple of fantastic games tonight. So got some postseason action for girls basketball also beginning tonight. First round for some teams. getting going here. So postseason getting into the full swing of things here. Couple more messages to catch up on with the Brewers signing Brandon Woodruff to a 2-year deal. This one is from Nathan. Nathan is saying here that while this move doesn't affect the team this year, I do like it potentially for next year. Helps the Brewers keep tabs on him. Hopefully he can recover nicely from this shoulder injury and get back to being the Brandon Woodruff that we have seen from the last few years. Another text here, don't have a name. The interesting saga of this Brewers offseason continues with this signing of Brandon Woodruff. I like it from a fan perspective. Question it why a 2-year deal at this point in time, but just straight up from a fan perspective, I like it. Well, I think the 2-year deal, to answer your question, again, maybe I'm completely off on this. I don't know, but I think the 2-year deal, first year, we don't know the official details. We don't know the official numbers or anything like that. But it's to bring him with the new organization. Probably some minimum money in there involved. Not a whole lot. I wouldn't expect a whole lot. But you bring him in. You can rehab him within your system. You can throw him into the pitching lab that you got down in Maryville and such. You can monitor his progress. You can work with him in his recovery. I think that's the point of the 2-year deal. I mean, if you sign him for a 1-year deal now, and knowing that he's not going to pitch this year, what's the point of that? You know, you rehab him, and then you potentially don't reap in the benefits if he does recover and goes out there and kind of picks up where he left off, being a really good pitcher. So that's why I believe it's a 2-year deal. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off here in 20 seconds. So last call for any Rays plays, who cut and didn't cut the mustard. Hit us up with a text. Also, last call for any grind my gears. What's grinding your gears? Get it off your chest. Make it clean so we can talk about it though too. All right. Send those puppies on over. 2 in. 1 more hour to go. Flying on by here this morning. We got some news updates, and then we'll kick off the third and final hour. Little grind my gears. I'm gonna go chat a little hoops with this one. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Third and final hour already here with us on this Tuesday morning. Big thanks for tuning in, however, wherever you may be checking in from. Shout out to all of you on the video stream, or maybe you're streaming at sportstar1051.com or on the app or on the good old classic radio dials over there too. So we're going to chat some Badgers coming up in about 15 minutes. RJ Cardinal will be joining us from the zone in Madison. What the heck, Badger basketball again. They'll back at it tonight against Maryland, but now officially outside the top 25. We'll talk a little hockey. So a little hockey in there too with Badger men's and women's teams starting to wrap up their regular seasons. Not a great weekend for the men's team getting swept by Ohio State, but a good weekend by the women's team sweeping Minnesota. So we'll hit that up coming up here in just a little bit. What else do we got? We've got it is a Ray's Place. Who cut and didn't cut the mustard? All right. Keep your picks coming. We'll get to some more of those coming up here in just a little bit. My picks in the first hour for who cut the mustard, didn't cut the mustard. I had to change mine. Who did? I gave a shout out to the Minnesota Wild. 7 goals in the third period. He had 6 of them in like 5 minutes and some change. So shout out to them. Who didn't? Rick Pitino with his post-game comments from the other day. So it is time for a little grind my gears. It is a grind my gears day. So yesterday, from a national perspective, a lot of people complaining about the NBA All-Star game, how it was played. A lot of offense, all offense, no defense, right? Over 200 points by the Eastern Conference. Damian, 39 points, 33 of those coming from 3, and sometimes 40, 45, 50 footers, it seemed like at times. But a lot of people complaining about this game, the All-Star game, how it's not competitive and all that good stuff. To that I say, what do you expect? Like, what do you expect? The complaining that is coming out there, to me is just kind of a little mind-boggling, because what do you expect? I'll start off by saying this. That game was garbage. It doesn't entertain me. I didn't find it entertaining. I didn't like the game at all. I had to tune it out after a while. We watched the first quarter with Hutsy. He loved it. After that, I couldn't watch him. It's not my style of basketball. I don't like it. But here's the thing. I'm also 37, going to be 38 coming up here soon. That game ain't for me. That game's for the younger fans. It's for kids like my kid and, other. They love it. They love the offense. And you know what? It's the kids that kind of move the needle, move the money, because, it's like all of a sudden, hey, Tyrese Halliburton over there. Who's that guy? Oh, he scored a lot. I want his jersey now. I want his cards. Mom, Dad, that's on my Christmas list. What does Mom and Dad do? Oh, you got a new fan, Tyrese Halliburton. You move merchandise that way with the kiddos. And let's face it, this is the style of the NBA now. I saw a lot of clips, social media clips out there, like, oh, the good old days of the NBA All-Star game was the 90s. It had like Jordan, Shaq, Grant Hill, Penny, Olajuwon. They were playing defense. It was a real game. That was the style then, and I loved that style. That's my favorite era. The 90s NBA. Loved it. I wish it would get back to that. It ain't. It's not. It is now 30, 35-foot jumpers. Your centers are shooting 3-pointers from deep. You have to now. If you're a 7'2", 7'1" center, not many centers can make a living anymore by just sitting down in the post and on the block. You got to have an outside game. And here's the thing. The NBA has embraced that. They've embraced the Steph Currys. They've embraced the Damian Lillards. They've embraced the 35-foot jump shots from way beyond the arc. They've embraced that. You can't go back from that now. It's offense. I mean, I wish these All-Star games, Pro Bowl, NBA All-Star game, I wish it would go back to what it was, but it's not. And If you're not going to accept that, if you're not going to realize that, then you're going to complain every single year. I'm sure Adam Silver would love it to be a little bit more competitive. But here's the other thing, too. It's a phrase that a lot of fans don't like, but it's a reality with these teams. Load management. The NBA is trying to get away from load management. They've implemented this 65-game thing here if you want to do, or if you want to win awards in that. But another way to maybe not put a lot of effort in and kind of save some of your body, they ain't going to put a whole lot of effort into all-star games, these players. And I guarantee you, their franchises, their teams don't want their players to play hard in a meaningless game. And that's the only thing. Like, these all-star games, they're meaningless. Who cares with the effort level? It's not for me, but I don't really care about it. But these players aren't going to play hard. You got a little thing out there that's load management now. Teams don't want them playing hard. These players aren't going to play hard for a game that doesn't matter to them anymore. And back then, all-star games, like when I was a kid in the 90s, I loved them. I loved the Pro Bowl. I loved the NBA All-Star Game. I loved it all. Why? Because a lot of the times, that was my only time that I could see some of these other players play. It was the only time that I could see, unless it was a postseason game. But it was the first time, or maybe one of the few times, that I could see some of these other players in action. 2024. We're in a world of streaming. We're in a world of social media, the internet now. Now you can see your favorite players, or you can see some certain players all the time if you wanted to. And back then, you didn't have super teams. You didn't have all-stars or superstars pairing up on teams. This was kind of the first time when it would be an all-star game. It's like, all right, we got Shaq and Jordan and Penny on the same team. It wasn't a thing. Now it's like, hey, some of these teams are already all-star teams because they've got their, 2 superstars, 3 all-stars, whatever it may be. It's a thing now. But we see these players all the time, whereas back in, 90s or the 80s and such, you didn't see them often, and really you didn't see superstars on the same team like you do in today's game. So it kind of loses a little bit of shine with that way. So everybody, adults kind of upset about and just going bananas about the All-Star game and saying it's garbage and they got to change it up and they got to change something on there. My question would be, what did you expect? This is the style of the NBA. I don't like it, but it is what it is right now, and I'm not going to get all hung up and annoyed and frustrated because of the style. It is what it is right now. The NBA, I mean, that's just, when you look at golf, and Tiger came on the scene and just started dominating and changed the game. You had golf courses trying to Tiger-proof courses or make them longer and all that. And then, baseball, they've altered some rules here. Football, they've altered some rules to, try to even it out. Basketball really hasn't done anything. It wasn't that long ago. There was a conversation out there, hey, should they have a 4-point shot? Well, crying out loud, maybe some of these 3-pointers now should be 2-pointers and they should extend the 3-point line. Wasn't that long ago? There's like, hey, should there be certain spots in the court where it's 4 points, 5 points? The range for some of these guys now, that's nothing. And they've let it go so far. You can't go backwards. You can't. The game now is transition. It's high scoring. It's shooting early in the shot clock. It's having an outside game. Once in a while, you still see a little in and out, inside out. But those 80s and 90s days are gone right now. The NBA's embraced it. Can't go back from it. Everybody wants to shoot the rock from the logo now. It is what it is at this point. I'm not going to get too bent out of shape about it. And I think a lot of people, adults, who get a little bent out of shape from it, again, I'll ask, what did you expect? I can't remember who it was, but somebody a few years ago told me, because I was one of those that I was just like, oh, Pro Bowl's garbage. Like, what are we still doing? They got to do something different. I was one of those, and then somebody just casually said, Pro Bowl is mostly for the kids, for younger fans, and I'm like, and it maybe didn't dawn on me until my kid got a little bit older and kind of realized it, and started to pay attention a little bit more to sports, and you love the Pro Bowl. Thought it was the coolest thing. Loved the All-Star game, the first quarter that he got to watch. Loved all the shooting. Loved the long distance 3-point shooting. I didn't, but you know what? The kids did. The younger generation did. The younger fans do, and that's really what it's kind of all about. All right, let's take a quick break here. Before that, we got a couple texts. Mark, morning DK, I've played Century World and recommend a great course, easy drive from the valley, so you can easily do it in a day without overnight expenses. Yeah, that was one of them that I had a chance a few times, driven by it many times. I used to live over in Plover, but always bypassed on it over there too. Dave saying, second time I golf in my life, Century World and Point was tackled by my friend before I got in the flowers to look for my errant shot. Didn't know any better. Okay. Yeah, Century World seems to be the popular one from a lot. That was one of them. For whatever reason, I was an idiot and turned down some invitations to go over there. So, all right, let's take a quick break and let's talk some Badgers. Badger basketball back in action tonight. We got some hockey. We'll break it all down with Mr. RJ Cardinal. He's coming up in just a few minutes.
on the same land in Jackson Hole for over 100 years. Finally, we stop at the Monk Family Farm. That's a dairy located in Utah's beautiful Cache Valley. Visit holidayvacations.com, keyword wax, to learn more about this tour and watch a travel show, or call 557-1020 for a free brochure for our trip to Big Sky Country.
Meet Denise, a modern-day superhero juggling work, family, and sanity. Denise deeply desired a relaxing escape from reality. Denise found her sanctuary at 3D Fitness. With 24/7 access and 2 convenient locations in Eau Claire and Chippewa Falls, Denise now seamlessly fits self-care into her routine. She enjoys the friendly staff, tanning, and variety of equipment. Denise discovered a newfound independence and confidence at 3D Fitness. Be like Denise. Stop in or visit online. 3D Fitness, where desire meets strength and you meet the best version of yourself.
Get ready to elevate your relaxation game. Dive into luxury with Swim Right Pools and Spa's new spa sale going on now through February 22nd. Picture yourself enjoying 102 degrees of bubbly tranquility. And we're taking the relaxation game on the road at the Chippewa Valley Home and Garden Show, February 16th through the 18th at the Chippewa Valley Expo Center. Explore the latest in spa innovation, unbeatable deals, and expert advice. Your journey to calm starts at Swim Right Pools and Spa's, Highway 93, Eau Claire.
We do it right. Swim Right.
Wheelway Auto in Rice Lake is celebrating 50 years of epic rides and unforgettable memories.
And surviving questionable fashion choices along the way.
We've seen bell-bottoms and even disco balls. One thing that never goes out of style, Wheelway's commitment to serving the community with quality vehicles and low monthly payments.
This month, they are featuring 25 vehicles under $20,000 to commemorate. Have a few bad credit bumps in the road? Don't worry, they can help you have a smooth ride.
Because when it comes to cars, they've been driving down memory lane for 50 fantastic years. Visit online at wheelwayautos.com.
He serves up a whole lot of sports with a whole lot of opinion, which means you've got a whole lot of listening to do. The Dan Kasper Show, weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
Sometimes you just need a little me time. And what makes your me time a little bit better is a great cup of coffee in a relaxing, cozy environment. That's exactly what you will get when you visit Cabin Coffee in Altoona. Why settle for low-quality coffee for your me time when you can have a freshly roasted brew with so many different flavor options located right in your own backyard? Hey, need a bite to eat during that me time? Cabin Coffee has you covered as well, with a menu filled with breakfast, lunch, and bakery items. Having a good cup of coffee just instantly puts us in a good mood. That is, if you get your coffee from Cabin Coffee. So take a little me time and visit Cabin Coffee in Altoona, located in the River Prairie District, and experience what quality coffee really is. Let's bring in our dude, Mr. RJ Cardinal, with us here this morning. RJ, so Badgers now outside the top 25 in basketball after their OT loss to Iowa. One game this week, and that's tonight against Maryland. Dude, what the heck, man? I mean, talk about 3 weeks? We're talking number 6 team in the country, maybe, with a chance to move up a little bit higher, and now outside the top 25. What a complete tailspin.
Yeah, hasn't been good. I see people pointing to the 13-14 season where a similar lost 5 out of 6 had happened, but that really isn't the same style of team here. So, it's a frustrating few weeks here. And 2 weeks ago you were number 6 in the country. It's just looking for answers, and I have no clue where you're going to find them at this point.
Well, it's the thing. Like, it's not just one thing, right? I mean, it could be whether it's their shooting in the second half or free throws or whatever. It seems to be a bunch of maybe small things, kind of medium-sized things, but when you add them all together, it's turning into a big pile of mess right now. I mean, even in Iowa, you had Stephen Crawl, putting up over 20-some points, but then no bench production after the game. It just seems like there's no consistency at this point.
Yeah, and that's probably the biggest point of frustration there. Where will that come from? What are we looking at here where it turns into something will go wrong in a game, and it does. And I'm just not sure where that is happening at this point. And you have a situation where near the end of the Iowa game where you had two just hero ball threes, and after the game is done, Greg Gard says that's not the play we drew up. And we've had that happen a few times in the past as well. And who really knows what's going on here? But there's more than just to play there now. Because before we were like, Greg Gard's not on the court making the turnovers. Greg Gard's not missing the free throws. Greg Gard's not the one settling for jump shots. And now you have apparently not running the plays that are drawn up in the huddle before you go out and do an inbounds play. So, it's now becoming more of a what is the issue here? Because there seems to be an issue.
Yeah, you mentioned, and I'm glad you brought up that point too, where it seems like a few times now we've heard Greg Gard say, "Yeah, that's not the play we drew up at the end there." So, I mean, does that blame go strictly on Greg Gard? I mean, you kind of have to point the finger at the coaches. Like, why else are the players not running the play that's called on the sidelines?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can put it on the coach. I mean, if he drew it up and it didn't happen, it's not necessarily his fault. But where do you put the blame? I don't know how you can say execution of a play is on the coach. It's still one of those. You have a lot of coaches who say out of timeouts, he's one of the best game planners there. That's like his forte. So why isn't the team executing the plays he's coming up with? I don't know. And it keeps going back to that Nebraska game. What happened at halftime of that Nebraska game that the switch was completely turned off? And I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. And I can't really even fathom a guess on what would have happened that just made that team shut down.
Right now, I got Joe Lenardi's bracketology up, and it looks like he just updated about 28 minutes ago. He's got Wisconsin as a 5 seed now, but obviously with the arrow trending downward, and you look at these next 5 games coming up: Maryland, Indiana, but then you got Illinois and Purdue here. RJ, I mean, where's your confidence level at this point in time that they can remain at least a 5 seed at this point?
You need to win 3 of these 5 to end the season. Get to 20 wins, secure a winning record in the Big Ten. I believe that does then. Just beat the teams you're supposed to beat. At this point, you're not expected to beat Illinois. You're not expected to beat Purdue. Take care of business against the lesser teams who are in the bottom half of the conference. Sure, one's on the road, 2 at home here. In terms of the lesser teams, Illinois comes in here where, I mean, you've only lost 1 conference game this year. Take care of business against those 3 lesser teams. Whatever happens against the other 2, let it happen. Who cares? You're not expected to win those anyway. And get yourself into a position to be at least a 1-round bye in the Big Ten, and hopefully play well in the tournament and improve your stock there. You get to 20 wins, you're going to be in the NCAA tournament as an at-large bid no matter what. It's just historically how the Big Ten's been treated. So 20 wins, winning conference record, you should be in. Then go from there. So just take care of your business with the teams you're supposed to beat.
So depending on, we don't know how the season's going to end, but let's assume it's maybe early exit from the tournament, whether it's after 1 win or maybe even not winning in the first round. You got some people, and I know it's a dangerous place on social media and the internet and such to kind of go down there, but there's some people wondering, speculating, would with how this second half of the season or this disappointing finish, could Chris McIntosh potentially make a move? I don't think so. But would you say with how things have finished, would Greg Gard open up next year potentially on a hot seat, do you think?
I think he's already there.
You think he's already there?
But I mean, there's got to be some kind of heat on that seat right now, whether it's dangerous levels of I'm going to fire you in season like Paul Christ, or let the season end and fire you like Tony Granato, or will it be a kind of Tony, you have one more year to figure this out kind of situation, which also happened to Tony Granato. So it could be a situation where a good majority of this young team will come back next year. You're bringing in Daniel Freitag, another a point guard who it seems the entire country is enamored with, even though he's a 3-star. Jack Robeson is also coming in, a guard. So you're getting backcourt help, where right now that seems to be more of the issue with the Badgers, backcourt depth and help there. So maybe bringing in those two guys, seeing what kind of who enters the transfer portal, who comes in through the transfer portal, and give him one more year to kind of be like, this ship's got to get righted. And, and they're starting an evolution kind of their offense to move away from the swing. And it's an offense that Kirk Penny's helping bring in that is going to be what a system that's the majority of the teams in Europe all use. And it's more along the lines of the system that the Golden State Warriors use. So you're looking at a totally different system. Maybe that attracts more people coming in. You get less and less people being able to negatively recruit against you when you can say, we're implementing the system that the Golden State Warriors are running.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you get some more looks at you, but so there is change happening. Well, I'm with you. I think even if it's an early round exit, there's a one more year prove it kind of thing, because you got some guys coming in who should be able to help.
Right. Just one more question with that, and just kind of, it would be, let's pretend they decide to make a move. How high should former Badger assistant Lamont Paris and the job he's done with South Carolina be on that list for the Badgers?
He's done pretty darn good there.
Yeah.
It's worth a call at least. SEC basketball isn't really thought of in the highest regard, but would he listen? Did he enjoy his time here? I don't know. So you at least would have to kick the tires on that to see what he says.
Right.
That'd be one of my first calls.
So I know a lot of Badger fans will probably look to the typical names, right? Bennett and all that stuff. And I know Lamont's being mentioned as maybe an Ohio State candidate over there. But dude, longtime Badger assistant too, and what he's done over there is remarkable. I would throw his name into the mix for a lot of Badger fans who maybe kind of forgot about him. Kind of forgot that. It's because it's been a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's doing some good things there. So I think he will be one of the hot names coming through here for really any Power 5 program that's going to have an opening.
Bo Ryan, one positive thing with the Badger basketball team, it was announced Friday. He was a finalist for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. He is in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, but one of the 14 finalists on there. I think he deserves to be in, RJ. I know he's on a list. I think he's got to get 18 of the 24 votes, something like that over there. He's on with like Vince Carter, Doug Collins, Jerry West when he was an executive. But, putting the homerism or bias off to the side here a little bit, you think Bo Ryan deserves to get in this year in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame?
Absolutely. It's not for a specific level of basketball. I mean, he won 4 national championships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd like to see a coach at any level that's won 4 championships that's not in the Hall of Fame. They're not. They're in there.
Yeah.
He's been a finalist for the past couple of years now and hasn't gotten voted in. I don't know whether he's rubbed some people the wrong way or what, but at some point you gotta show the man some respect for his prowess, not only at the D3 level, but I mean he turned Milwaukee around. He turned Wisconsin into really what it is today on a national platform. I mean, I don't understand why somebody like that wouldn't be in yet, even though like people who haven't even completed their career have had some academic scandals follow them at 3 different schools and have only won 1 national championship, John Calipari, who are in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't make any sense. I guess if you're calling the Hall of Fame something of you can develop talent and not actually win it all, then you don't need to be in there, Bo Ryan. You're already in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. But it's a little ridiculous that he's not in there already with his overall resume.
I agree. RJ, switching gears here. Let's talk a little hockey. First up, women's team sweeping Minnesota 4-3, then 4-0. I know they got another week here for postseason, but that's a pretty good weekend for this Badger women's team.
Yeah, absolutely. You went in there needing to at least pace yourself with Ohio State, and you did that, but you are. Let's see. Even if you sweep Ohio State this weekend, you're finishing in second. But you put yourself high enough with the sweep over Minnesota that if you get swept this weekend, you stay in second place. So Badgers find themselves in second place no matter what. Heading into the WCHA tournament, we'll see what goes on there. But Wisconsin didn't have the greatest regular season record against Ohio State last year, and then beat them in the national championship game. So it's and they're talking about how for them this isn't defending what happened last year in the playoffs. So they're not thinking of it as they need to defend last year's national championship. This is a new season, which good way to go about it. We'll see what happens there, and then you flip a switch come playoff time, and I mean chances are you'll see Ohio State or Minnesota again in the WCHA playoffs, and then probably in the NCAAs. So let this weekend fall as it may. You're at home though, so it'd be nice to try to get a split or something there. And you don't want to be totally demoralized by getting swept at home on your senior weekend and all that by Ohio State. But they seem to be going in with the right attitude. I'm probably going to say Ohio State might be pressing to try to show off and say, last year was a fluke in the playoffs. And I think like Ohio State won the series 3-1 or maybe even swept Wisconsin last year. I'm trying to think, but they didn't have the greatest record against Ohio State last year. So just really when it matters. And like it sounds bad to say, but no matter what, you're not winning the regular season this year. You're down too many points, and let this weekend just come to you and see what happens. But don't get too demoralized if it doesn't go your way.
Yeah, it seems like it's a program that not to downplay conference championships as such, but it's they got national championship goals, right? I mean, I know sometimes we talk about that with maybe some other teams. It's not about the divisions; it's about the big prize at the end.
Right. It's get your stuff together and be ready to hang another national championship banner.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of getting your stuff together, the men's team, they get swept by Ohio State this past weekend. How do they bounce back against Penn State this weekend, RJ?
Well, it's one you got to be ready to be in a battle for. We talked about it when you played them the first go around at home. They're a team that's going to put up a lot of shots and high volume shots to just try to pepper your goalie and get some as Barry Richter calls it when he comes in, greasy goals. They're not going to be pretty, but if you put enough of them on net, they're going to start going in. And at least at home, you held pace with them. You beat them 6-3, 4-1. So, I mean, you got to be ready for a skate and a total game, unlike what you did against Ohio State, where you had 1 point of possible 6, and now put yourself in a position where you are 5 points behind Michigan State. They play Ohio State this weekend. I mean, the way Michigan State's playing this year, you're probably going to have to sweep Penn State to keep pace, to be behind 5 points. So when Michigan State comes to Madison, you need to sweep them to then win the conference. But if you look like you're tired and not interested in playing like you were last weekend, you're going to put yourself in a hole where Minnesota is now 1 point behind you in the standings, and you could end up in third place, still hosting a opening weekend WCHA playoff game. But I'd much rather be in second place going into or first going into the Big Ten playoffs.
Absolutely. All right, RJ, before I let you go, Badgers, Maryland. I can't believe I'm asking you this, but pick a winner for tonight's game.
Maryland hasn't won on the road in a month, so let's go with Wisconsin. Maybe Maryland covers that 7.5, but I got to pick Wisconsin, even though I'm not the most sure of that pick.
Yeah, man. I can't think of another. I mean, I don't care if it's just Badgers or what level. I can't think of another time where it's been such a whirlwind of like completely different, like couple weeks. Maybe in baseball, we've had a couple teams that just kind of went on some tears or really some downfalls there too. But this has just been something different for me that
Right.
I've witnessed.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's been a confusing kind of season where, yeah, you went on that run and your only losses were to, at the time, not ranked Providence, but then they got ranked, but then they lost their best player to an injury and they fell off. But yeah, then you're really only looking at high ranked opponents. Your losses were to, and you went on a tear, and just everything ended.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to explain.
Yep, exactly. All right, RJ. Hey, we appreciate the time as always, buddy. Enjoy the rest of the week, and hopefully we'll talk some positive stuff next week with our Badger teams.
I hope we can. So yeah, look forward to hopefully talking about good stuff next week.
Absolutely. All right, dude. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. RJ Cardinal joining us as always every Tuesday here. We got to take a quick break because we got some picks and predicts coming up here, brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. We'll get to that coming up after these quick words. So you've got a little extra money left from your tax return. And you want to do something fun with it. Maybe spending it a little bit on yourself. But what? Well, if you're a hunter, how about a new deer rifle or a shotgun for spring turkey hunting, which is coming up here? Now that I piqued your interest, it's about time to go ahead and visit our good friends from Tilden Gun. Family owned and operated, Sean and Hunter from Tilden Gun are ready to help you find that new deer rifle or shotgun for your next hunting adventure with the biggest selection in the area, all at the best prices. They'll help you find just what you're looking for. Now, you can either visit tildengun.com and check out their selection and order online, or stop by at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls to see what they have in their store. I've done both. Pretty darn easy both ways. So once you get that tax return this year, save some of it, spoil yourself this year, upgrade to a new deer rifle or shotgun for turkey hunting this year. Speaking of Tilden Gun 2, I posted this up late last night on the Facebook page. Go check it out, facebook.com/Kasper Sports, Kasper with a K. And just kind of looking for some good stories, some memorable outdoor stories, whether it's, your first deer, maybe your kiddo's first deer, fishing stories or anything like that. And big thanks to a few of you who've already posted some pictures on there or posted some stories. Bloomer Tony's up there. A good buddy Blake has posted some pics and stories up there. So I'm working on something, but I need some more stories out there. Go check it out. Okay. Like the page, follow the page, facebook.com/Kasper Sports, and chime in on there too. So you'll see it towards the top over there. But again, big thanks to those of you who have already commented on there. Let's do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. Reminder, you're looking for somewhere to catch the races this season, the NASCAR races and such. Head on over to the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. They make some picks, weekly picks over there too. So I know the Daytona wrapped up yesterday. I had to push it because of weather delays and such. So it wrapped up yesterday. Got a racer, William Byron, picking up the 500 win, picking up the Daytona 500 win. So again, if you want to make some weekly picks, you want to go somewhere to watch the races or watch the ball game or watch a hoops game, check out the Elbow Room in Eau Claire right next to Banbury Place. We've got a few NHL games I want to do. Vancouver Canucks taking on the Colorado Avalanche. It's going to be a good game here. It's at Colorado. I think Vancouver bounces back from that high-scoring affair, shall we say, between them and the Wild yesterday. I'll go Vancouver picking up a road win. I'm not uber confident in that, though. Let's go Nashville Predators taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. This one's in Vegas. I'll go Vegas. I think the Golden Knights pick up the win over the Predators. We got the Dallas Stars taking on the New York Rangers. Another solid game here. New York is 19-7-0 at home, but Dallas is 17-6-5 on the road. Give me the Stars. Give me the Stars in this one. Minnesota. Again, they made the Rays place, who cut the mustard on my list for their performance yesterday. 10 goals, 7 in the third period. Outstanding. Was it 6 goals and 6 goals in 5 minutes and change. Fastest in over 20 some years. So they're going up against Winnipeg though. At Winnipeg, I'm going to go with the Jets, Winnipeg Jets, in that one. And let's move to the college basketball world here. We got a couple games I'm going to pick. We got UConn taking on the Blue Jays of Creighton. UConn, the number 1 team in the country, and they sure look the part right now. UConn's only favored by 2.5 in this game. Give me UConn and give me the over. Give me the over on that one. I think UConn's going to win easily by 3. Sorry, Blue Jays. Baylor versus BYU, number 11. Baylor Bears taking on BYU, number 25 in the country. BYU's favored by 4.5. Give me Baylor. I'm going to roll with Baylor on this one. And then we've got Maryland versus Wisconsin. You heard RJ talk about it a little bit. Wisconsin's favored by 7.5 in this one. I'll go Wisconsin. They don't cover, though. I don't have any confidence whatsoever in this Badger basketball team. None. They win, but they don't cover. Can't do it. Won't do it. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope they cover, and I hope they just go out there and flip and dominate. So, all right. Got a few minutes left here. What do we got? So we talked a lot about Brandon Woodruff. It looks like a majority of you, if not all, liked the Brandon Woodruff signing. We all understand he's probably not going to pitch this year. I wouldn't put any expectations on it, even if they make the postseason. I wouldn't put any expectations on it. I think you factor in he suffered 2 injuries last year. First one where he missed a boatload of time, and then second one obviously is what's keeping him out most likely for the entire year this year. I think Brewers are going to be patient with it. They're not going to push it. They're going to make sure they get this right. They want to get him back on the mound, so don't expect him in any capacity. I could be completely wrong, but I wouldn't push it. I don't think they are, considering he went through this shoulder injury last year. Bring him in, rehab him, monitor his progress, and kind of have your eye on 2025 with Brandon Woodruff. I like it based off the fact that you're getting him in your facility, you're getting him in your pitching laboratory, and you get to work with him. You get to, guys, they're paired up. You don't, Brandon's not going to have to be on his own and try to find his own, trainers and such. They're going to work together to make sure he's, back on the mound and back to as close as he possibly can, and hopefully back to a normal Brandon Woodruff. I like it, but don't expect anything playing-wise from him this season. Elsewhere, we talked obviously a lot of Badgers. Badgers are back in action tonight with their game against Maryland. We hit that up. We had some grind my gears going at you. We had, as I mentioned, the race plays. Who cut the mustard? Who didn't cut the mustard? Again, who cut the mustard for me? The Minnesota Wild. Who didn't? Rick Pitino in his post-game conference or post-game presser the other day, and some of his comments he made there too. So don't forget, every Tuesday it is a Rays Place who cut and didn't cut the mustard. We want you to play along. All right, it's kind of like studs and duds a little bit there. So think about it and let us know. Okay, for next Tuesday there. Tomorrow we've got another edition of the Business of Sports, brought to you by Security Financial Bank. So we'll hit that up at about 8:05 tomorrow. We'll hit up more Brewers chat too if anything happens to come down the wire. Here. Might hit a little football talk here. We got it's not necessarily Green Bay, but maybe tomorrow we'll talk a little bit about some free agency stuff. See, there's some rumblings out there about Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. That guaranteed money remains a key element in this negotiation, and maybe it sounds like from some rumors out there, the Vikings don't want to do the same contracts that they've been doing with Kirk Cousins, the fully guaranteed portions or fully guaranteed contracts he's been getting from the prior regimes over there. That's what Cousins camp wants. Is there a little bit of discord? Remains to be seen, but maybe we'll hit that up and do a little free agency stuff coming at you tomorrow, since we won't have any Bucks action yet until Friday when they go up against the Timberwolves. But hopefully we're at least talking about a Badger basketball win, even though I know it probably won't mean a whole lot to a lot of people because, well, it's Maryland. And they should beat Maryland. And you would be exactly right. 100% right in that one. So, hey, big thanks. Big tip of the cap to all of you for sending over some messages and texts and video stream comments, tweets, all that good stuff. Appreciate it. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Let's do it again, all right? Meet up here at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'll talk to you then.